What's going on, guys? And welcome back to another episode of Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and of course, I've got my girl, Justine, right there with me co hosting this thing. If you're new here, this is the show that showcases the importance of music and mental health. We invite guests on to share their own story of how music has made an impact in their lives and to share their own mental health journey in order to help end the stigma of mental health. As always, guys, if you want to help support this little show, all you have to do is give us a follow on any app you are currently listening to this and also leave us a positive rating and review. It would really just mean a lot to us, and I think it helps pump us into the algorithms. I don't know. We're still trying to figure that out. Either way, it would mean a lot to Justine and I. So if you want to go ahead and do that, please do that. We love you guys. We appreciate everybody listening so much. Today in the show, we were joined by 2/5 of the band Heading North. We were joined by Mike and Asha. And let me tell you, sometimes when you come into these things, you never know, especially not meeting people, but immediately meeting Mike and Asha, I could just feel we were going to have a really good conversation. And we really did. And I'd like to think, oh, I found these guys on my own. No. One of our former guests, Zach of Old Neon, I saw him post about this band. I checked them out on a reel. Really, really love them. They're from Pittsburgh, and I swear I should just end up moving there because the amount of talent and amazingness in the South Jersey, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia area that I have found lately is amazing. But Mike and Asha were wonderful. We discussed their early days of finding music, how they cope in their own mental health journey, what we can do. They had some great ideas, their band Heading North, and just had such a great conversation with them both. And Justine and I both, as soon as we got off, were like, we need to put this out right away. So you are listening to this right now because we wanted to do that. One thing I wanted to just say is you're going to hear some little clickings here and there. That's Zoom. Zoom just loves to do that. If you are listening to this and you have a better way I can record guests, let me know. I am all ears. I did my best to edit that out, but sometimes you'll hear little clickies. It's nothing to stop the conversation. So just get through it. I don't know. Zoom just hates me sometimes, but anyways, guys, I'll have all the links below in the description as always, where you can check out Heading North. You can go say hi to Mike and Asha. You can check out their Bandcamp. I'll have all their links below in the description, so make sure to check that out. All right, guys, you know how it is, that spiel. I got to get through. I want to talk about these guests. But anyways, I know you want to meet Mike and Asha. Justine and I want you to meet Mike and Asha. Here is our conversation with Mike and Asha, 2/5 of Heading North. And I know this is so kind of cliche to have you guys introduce yourselves, but for someone listening, just to give them that ear, if you guys want to give a little introductions to yourselves or your band, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? We're 2/5 of Heading North, pop punk emo band from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We started just about a year ago, in February of 2023. Kind of after the dissolution of another local Pittsburgh band that three of the members were in. But since forming, we've been playing a ton of shows around the Pittsburgh area. We've gotten chances to open for some awesome bands. As you mentioned, Old Neon, who've become awesome friends and mentors in a way to us.
They're like our dads.
Yeah, yeah.
Except
cool
for
dads.
Are
only
really
5 years
cool
age
dads.
difference from us.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. We've got to open for some touring acts like Pink Shift
Oh,
and Carly
cool.
Cosgrove and Keep Flying within the past year, with more to come. So yeah, we're just super excited just to keep on playing locally, and yeah, keep on sharing our music with people.
And the 2/5 specifically that we are, the person you just heard talking is Mike. He
What's up?
is our irreplaceable drummer, most insane guy you'll ever see on the sticks. And I am Asha, a fine singer.
Pretty good, pretty
A
all
chill
right.
singer. I'm just there. I'm here to have fun.
I don't know if chill is the way I would describe.
I'm not.
What you said, but, no, it's very very chill person, crazy singer.
The two things I noticed when there was the one reel I had saw, and I was like, I noticed your drumming, Mike, and Asha, your vocals. To me, what you guys just said is absolutely 100%. I caught it and I was like, all right, this is in my alley. And I feel like a lot of people that may listen to this in their alley too. So
Cool. Thank
completely
you.
agree.
Yeah, no, we can't forget the other three members.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Aiden, Hannah, and C, our two guitar players and bassists. They're also always killing it. But yeah, thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of to something we do too, and it's kind of fun to always hear everybody's different takes. But if you were to go up to someone, kind of like back in the day, I guess Warped Tour, where people would go up to you and have their music and want you to hear it. If you were to go up to anybody, or even like say us, maybe we didn't hear it, what three words would you describe your bands before like they would put the headphones on and hear you guys for the first time?
I think angsty music, one word for lovers is what I would say. Friendly pop punk.
And I think like anyone like that needs to be on a shirt somewhere. 100% needs to be
Yeah.
like somehow my little cricket. I don't
I've
know.
been working on a t-shirt design for that's like Pittsburgh's friendliest pop punk band. Mike said that when we were on the local like university radio. And that has really stuck with me because I think it's so true. We're just some friendly guys.
Yeah, and
Oh,
we're just some silly, friendly,
Some silly
goofy
billies.
guys. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, silly, friendly, goofy pop punk. I don't know if that's the most accurate. Yeah, I think angsty for lovers is pretty good. I like that.
Thanks.
maybe I'll have to put that in a little like our little description, angsty for lovers, and see what sticks.
What if you can remember are those first memories of falling in love with music?
For me, it really starts like super early. My dad was a musician, so like from literally my very first memories, I can remember him playing music around the house, playing guitar, especially, but he would sing and he'd play like anything. So he was super inspirational. But yeah, and my first like big, I don't know, kind of moment of actually wanting to play music myself was I think when I was 5 or 6 years old. We got like literally like on demand for the first time, and Fuse on demand was on there.
Yeah.
And me and my dad were like just going through like for the first time together watching, and this was like 2005, 2006, and literally like from the get-go it was American Idiot and Welcome to the Black Parade and Make Damn Sure, and from there, that kind of like down the line that led to Blink and led to so many other bands, A Day to Remember, that we still cherish and still find inspiration in for sure.
Oh, I love that. And like, what about you, Asha?
Mine was like so different. I think that my pathway to loving music, it also came a lot from my parents.
Yeah.
My mom has always been like a big classic rock fan. The Wall by Pink Floyd is like our album. I
Mm-hmm.
knew like every lyric of every song by the time I was maybe 6 years old, which probably wasn't a great example to set. Definitely contributed to something wrong.
Yes.
Um, my dad was always a big Motown guy, and so he got me really into like the Isley Brothers and the Temptations. And then as I developed my own music taste, it was a lot of like Hannah Montana. But I was always a singer. That was always something that like was very cathartic for me. I would always sing to myself. I was terrified of singing in front of other people. I remember I got a music lesson once when I was 7, and I cried into my pillow in front of her for an hour because I was so
Oh,
scared to sing Rockstar by Hannah Montana to
oh
her.
my God.
I would have been scared too.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
terrifying. I was like,
Intimidating.
who is this? That's
Yeah.
not my mirror.
I still couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here for you. I'm here to do that. But yeah, I think that a lot of my music journey definitely was, it took a very long time for me to get to like pop punk and stuff. That was when I was like in my early teen years. But before that, it was just anything that I heard that I could sing, I would be singing. Usually it was like the most annoying thing possible to irritate my family, like the Pillow Pets commercial song or something. But
Oh my God. Did like what kind of helped you get over that to where really hard to sing in front of someone till now? Like what really helped you along with that?
That's such a good question. And I wish I had a better answer. I think a lot of it was just me getting older
Mm-hmm.
and facing a lot of my fears. I did my like fourth grade talent show once. I sang Grenade by Bruno Mars, and my principal refused to use the karaoke version, so you couldn't hear me at all because I was shaking like a leaf and singing as quietly as I could. But I think that even though that was like even though that crashed and burned, it really helped a lot. I somewhat shamefully have a really intense theater background, and that just got me on stage, even if I was shoved in the back. Um, that's like the biggest thing I can say to anyone who's like really scared of doing something that they really want to do is like you have to do it and mess up and be really bad at it for a while. I still get me and Hannah before every single show, we're like, our tummies hurt because we're always nervous. It
Yeah.
doesn't go away, but you just get better at dealing with the tummy ache.
That's so similar, I know, on a different level with us. Even the podcast, like before anybody comes in, we're always like, okay, we know what we're gonna do. It's fine. We've been in here before. And sometimes like things go wrong in the Zoom, right? The audio, whatever, and you get that little knot in your tummy. And then once you guys popped in, it's like, okay, it's nothing. Completely different than singing. I could never do that in front of anyone. The closest thing I ever did was it was the band Circa Survive, and they did like this fan club thing, and you could sing
The
on
Creature
stage.
Club.
Yes, the Creature Club, and you could sing on stage with the band. And so they pulled you up and you got to sing on stage with them. It was normally would have been a great experience. I was terrified. I was like, there's chords up here, there's everybody is staring at you. How do singers, how do you do that? Because like, what if someone has like a face that's like, like maybe not the best face and they're kind of looking at you with arms folded. Like I could never get past that. I would just be like, okay, I'm gonna like look down or do whatever I'm doing. And so I applaud both of you for even being in a band and getting up there in front of whoever's up there.
See, when I'm on stage, I never have my glasses on, so I
So
can't see the people. I'm just like in the back, head banging, just kind of like in my own world. I got my in-ears in, just kind of tuning everyone out. But
I'm
not,
far up enough that the lights are just blinding me. I can't see
so
a single person. I
yeah.
point.
so maybe that's what we would have to do, Justine. If we were ever in a band, just have, maybe
Just
my contacts out, and then I'd be good to go. So we'd be good.
exactly blind yourself somehow.
But I mean, I guess this kind of goes into what you were kind of talking about a little bit. But as far as music impacting in a positive way, and say maybe you were in a bad mental health rut or just a tough time, was there like an artist or just music in general that really, besides Hannah Montana, of course, that has gotten you through that in any way?
I Mike already knows my answer to this. It's
I
My
do.
Chemical Romance,
Oh,
American rock band My Chemical Romance.
yes.
That is like my number one obsession till the day I die. And every single one of their albums, but especially Three Cheers and the Black Parade have been
Mhm.
my like at my lowest lows. I could
Yeah.
turn and like cry my heart out to I Don't Love You,
Oh,
during
yes.
breakups and moves across the country and things like that. It just it MCR has such a powerful, beautiful place in my heart to an almost pathological extent. I love those four old men with all of my being. And I really think that MCR is what got me expanding my sort of vocal horizons beyond just like show tunes, which
Mhm.
thank God for that. And it's really nice having sort of a stable one that you can turn to,
Yeah.
an old reliable. Other than them, also like modern baseball really
Mhm.
had like an intense hold on me for a while. I think that was very good, especially in my teen years. You need
Yeah.
some Midwest emo angst.
Yes. Oh, I'm originally from the Midwest. So for me, like hearing like modern baseball, my chem is just one of those bands that I love to see they're still doing it too. Like all those years later, they're still killing it. And I'm jealous of anyone that goes to When We Were Young and gets to see them perform the Black Parade. But I know Justine, you're a big My Chem fan too. So I know,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. As soon as they said that they were reuniting and they were coming to Chicago, I immediately bought tickets. And so I got to see them at Riot Fest. So yeah.
Sick.
You got to
But
see
I
those
also
little
got to
outfits
see
on
them.
stage.
I also got to see them Warp Tour way back in the day. So like it comes full circle. It's like if you're an MCR lover, like you're like that for life. Like they're one of my
100%.
go-tos. Oh yeah,
They have that
absolutely.
grip on you for the rest of your life.
Oh, definitely.
For sure. And I mean, Mike, what about you? Any of those artists? I mean, Is
Yeah.
it my chem too, or?
I would say, I mean, definitely my chem at, like consistently is like a one I'll always go back to. But for me personally, one I would say that's really like within the past couple of years been just a total go-to and maybe like my favorite band of the last few years has been Origami Angel.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like their lyrics just really like are, I don't know, open in like a more transparent way and almost like just so almost on the nose at times with what he's talking about, whether that be anxiety or just kind of self-deprecating thoughts or depressing thoughts or whatever it may be. And I think just like for me, like this past year has kind of been like a whirlwind of like we kind of all recently graduated from college and kind of has just been, I don't know, a lot of ups and downs, and like their music has really kind of provided a kind of safe haven or kind of like a friend almost, like it's just like, oh wow, like this guy gets it too, and like he's singing like exactly how I feel. And yeah, I think that like is just super cathartic. Just be like, oh wow, like I can yell along to this song, and there's also like sick blast beats and Midwest emo tapping and like crazy stuff going on. But yeah, I would say got me for sure.
Yeah, and there's someone I feel some people don't really know a lot about them. I feel like they're a band when I'll mention they're not too many. It depends if there are people that really love music like you guys. You'll oh yeah, I know them. But some people I know they have no idea who I'm talking about. But I completely agree with and I think they're definitely a band like more people. So if anyone's listening, hop on that train because they're so good. And Zach from Old Neon actually brought them up too. So that's so a weird small world connection too. So that's so
Me and
great.
Zach have similar tastes. He's a
So
man of honor.
yeah. That's
Yeah, no, legitimately. I mean, I think they're a great drumming band, but also just a great band for when you need someone like, or when you need like I said, like a friend, or it's like their music
mhm.
feels like a warm hug in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
but also like a really fun and exciting and all over the place hug, or like I don't know, like if that makes any sense, but
No, it does. There's those bands that you have to put on. Like I know My Chem is one of them for me too. But like when you just need that, especially in the fall and winter, there's some
yeah.
of those bands that you need to put on and almost be like, okay, like I'm in my winter mode with like Death Cab for Cuties, one of them for me. Like whenever it gets cold, I'm like, I need that blanket and that cup of coffee. And I know people laugh at me at that, but I'm like, I don't care. Like it's a seasonal thing. You need those bands that give you that hug. And I love the way you both worded that. So that's oh, I agree 100%. I know someone else out there is too. And Justine, I'll throw it back to you.
As a new up and coming band, what is probably the biggest struggle you guys face?
Um, I would say, I mean, it's really just about like having the energy to just do every single step of the behind the scenes stuff. I think it helps. I mentioned earlier that multiple of us have been in bands before, and like me being a drummer, like I play in about four bands right now in the local scene. So that definitely like the outside experience that we each kind of bring definitely helps, but just like having just the ability to get to everything, I'd say, with just like keeping it all just completely DIY. We do all of our own merch, we do all of our own booking, and stuff like that, and we've been super like blessed and fortunate to be booked like a lot in our first year as a band. We have a ton more shows coming up this year, and quite a few actually out of town as well. So like that is all super fun and awesome, but the work behind the scenes that goes into that can definitely be like a lot, but it's super rewarding at the same time. So it's as hard as or as stressful as it can be, like waiting on, 10 people to DM you back and hoping like one is available or like, whatever it may be. It's worth it in the end because, nothing's more fun than playing with your bros. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I would definitely agree. Shout out to Mike and Hannah because they definitely do a lot of the logistical aspects that I don't have the mental capacity for. For
mhm.
me personally, I'm the only member of the band that's never been in a band before. And so that honestly is probably the hardest part is like this is a completely new world to me. And I'm so not used to having people like looking at me like that. I've always been a very boisterous person, but I think that being the center of attention was an aspiration more so than like a concrete thing. And having that actually happen is really foreign and kind of nerve wracking, but also really rewarding and beautiful. And when people come up to me, one thing about a Heading North show is I say a shark fact at every show, and people will come up to me and like engage with me about it
Yeah.
after. And that's an astonishing experience. And it's sort of two sides of the same coin, where it's like on the one hand, you know, do not perceive me. On the other hand, wow, being perceived is so much fun.
Mhm. Yeah.
Definitely, I think is pretty hard. But this band makes it pretty easy to be in a band, I have to say.
Oh, like I have to agree. Like I think a lot of my friends that have been in bands, it's such a struggle. And I think now with this whole TikTok era too, right? Where now instead of just being in a band and handling all this stuff on your own, you have to now make a reel or have some kind of presence on these apps, right? And within 30 seconds or 60 seconds, grab people. How do you guys kind of deal with that too? Because I feel like now there's that big shift where it's like if you're maybe not a big social media presence band, again, you can DIY it and do the flyers and everything, but what do you guys think of that too, where that era where it's get on TikTok or get on, and make a reel and make it pop off and maybe like, a couple people, because we experienced that with the podcast where you'll make a reel and I'll make like the silliest thing that I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, okay. But does it pull anybody to the podcast? No, but they like the reel. But I'm not a content creator. So what do you guys kind of think about that too, as being a new up and coming band and having to deal with that struggle?
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it can be something that we like to keep definitely in the back of our minds at all times. But the biggest thing for us is just to never let social media be like the driving factor for why we're making the music. And
Hmm.
it's not, we're not ever gonna be like a TikTok band. If that's your thing and that works for you, like nothing but respect and like, hey, get that bag. But
Yeah.
like at the same time, like I don't think we're concerned with being like, guess which one of us is the drummer? Like it's me.
Yeah.
It's I don't we don't need to guess. But like no, I'm just kidding. But like yeah, I think it's one of those things where, we do realize that there is on one hand, like that is just part of being in a band, like you said, that
Mhm.
kind of responsibility you could call it, or just that, the really just it is a very beneficial marketing tool, straight up. And I think there is value in that. But I think when you get so sucked into the culture and like, oh, I just need to get likes or followers or
Mhm.
whatever you said, like
Yeah.
half of that is, kind of just on the internet. Like it's just left online. Like those people aren't coming out to your show. Those people aren't really going to be streaming your stuff. They might be giving you likes, and
Yeah.
it might in the moment feel really good, but honestly, like it just means so much more to us to really like intentionally build those relationships at the show or on a smaller level on social media, like, reply to people's comments and, make sure we're like actively engaging with people and being, like Asha was saying, like as friendly as we can be,
Mhm.
because like that's, I think, really the big secret to success. At least we found locally. So
Sure. I think in the vein of friendliness, I think the only time that like TikToks and stuff really come to mind for us is like to be silly and goofy. I always have TikTok ideas in the back of my head, but none of them are good for like marketing. They're all
Yeah.
just like I want to have fun with my friends. I think especially as someone who is so chronically online and social media addicted from age like 10. I want nothing less than to have the band be such an online thing. It feels great to get a bunch of likes, and we're almost at like 1,000 followers, which is mind-boggling to me. And I do appreciate things like that because those are real people that like really are invested in us as a band. But I completely agree with everything Mike said, where I think that it's really easy to, like with your personal life, get your band life really heavily involved in social media and make the end goal. And like, all power to people who are able to make that work. I don't think I have the mental capacity to make that work. I think that social media is such a mind drain, and it's a slot machine. It's a random chances game that you're going to show up on someone's For You page. And that they're going to actually like it. And also, some people are mean, and I don't need to deal with that. It's just such a maze to navigate that I think that we honestly just sort of do our thing. And if something pops off, it pops off. But if it doesn't, it's like, come see us.
Yeah. I mean, even talking about people coming to see you, talk a little bit about like your music scene. What makes it so special to you guys and that tight-knit community you have? What is, if someone wants to like, all right, we're going to go to a Heading North show, what is the kind of environment that you guys have been a part of?
It's friendly. That's the number one thing, is that all I want at a Heading North show is for everyone to be like, I'm hanging out with my friends right now and jamming out. I've been very personally overwhelmed, especially again as someone I've never been part of the local music scene. I'm completely new to this whole world. I've been very like sort of blown away by how supportive people within the music scene are, and how many people who don't make music themselves are so heavily involved in the music scene and are like at every show you go to and like so highly supportive. I think that there's just a lot of lifting each other up, and I find that very, very beautiful. It definitely helps that Mike and Aiden are like in so many bands and kind of have their hands all across the music scene, kind of have friends everywhere we go. But I think that even wasn't the case. People are just, in general, what I have discovered as I've gotten older is that people are in general going to be pretty nice for the most part. A lot of people aren't, but most people just want to be nice and happy. And if there's music involved, they're going to be even nicer and even happier. And you just get to meet the kindest, strangest people ever, which is great because we are really kind, strange people too.
No, I think that's I couldn't have put it better myself. We're definitely very strange, and we definitely know a lot of strange people. But no, and I'm in a band with lots of strange people, like different bands, I guess. But no, that's it. I totally agree with everything Asha said. I think there is just this general sense of wanting to build each other up. A lot of cross genre, like friendships and compatibility. Like us being a pop punk band, we definitely like love playing with bands like Old Neon or our friends in Main Street Detour or Find Ethel and various other local pop punk bands. But there's also like we have great friends in the indie scene or in the folk punk scene or in the metal and hardcore scene, and like the kind of even like jazz and fusion and R&B world as well. And just to have that kind of like Asha said, that like wide circle of friends, but not even just friends to us, just like in general for the city, that wide of an amount of diversity in the music, from, like I said, everything from to like the most brutal metal, that you don't know is coming out of Pittsburgh, but it is like it runs the gamut. And I think that's really cool. And I think more recently, there's been some really cool Pittsburgh bands, like Feeble Little Horse getting the city some attention, like in the indie and kind of DIY scene. But yeah, I think there's just a ton of really sweet bands coming out of Pittsburgh, like across the board. So
that's our music scenes are so important, and I I feel like, Justine, we got to write down some of these band names so we can look out for them too. I'm like, special. And I know the East Coast in general, like moving here from Illinois, like about 5, 6 years ago, seeing like even New Jersey, like there's something special about the East Coast area and the music scenes. And I'm definitely like seeing that. So
The
we just
cold
have,
builds character. You're
yeah,
stuck inside, you got to find something to do.
absolutely. And I know it.
We're a part of the Bottle Rocket sessions on January 4th. How was that to be included?
Oh, it was so cool. It was so amazing. That was my first time ever going to Bottle Rocket just because it's like a bit of a ways away from me. We had played at their like smaller studio, Little Giant, which is also like a recording space. I want to say like late summer of last year, and that was really amazing too. But to be in that main stage area was so, so cool. And the fact that they're doing these like live studio or live like audience recordings is such an amazing thing and such a fantastic opportunity for local artists. And I I can't hype them up enough for that. I think it was such a wonderful opportunity to have, and just such a kind and uplifting thing to do for local bands to have this sort of resource that I can't really think of anyone else that's doing that sort of thing. And everyone's so nice.
It was like
Thanks for being
100%
there.
for the artist. Like it was like totally like almost like selfless of them, like the amount of behind the scenes and like content stuff that like they're creating for all three of the bands that played, and they're doing that for the series going forward. At least for us, there was that the entire set was recorded through audio, and then our first two songs were recorded via video, and those will be released pretty soon, I think. Not exactly sure on when they'll be coming out, but yeah, definitely drop in on our Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that pretty soon.
Oh. Awesome. We'll definitely have all those links for everybody too, so they can check you guys out. And talking about your music, I feel like we're so lucky to catch you guys so early on in your journey, lead people your way. But you have your singles, you have Polarity and Toss and Turn, which has been on repeat for me. What are you guys most proud of with those releases, and what has kind of been the response so far, whether it's live or on the internet?
I mean, it's been truly like like I said earlier, we're just so blessed and like really grateful to just have been shown the support we have thus far. It feels like, I don't know, kind of fast. I not to overinflate that, but it just feels like more than we were expecting, and that like cool. With especially with Polarity, back in December, we got the like kind of opportunity or chosen to have that song played on our local like alt rock and alternative station in the city called 105.9 The X, and so they played that like at least twice a day throughout the month of December, and that ended up like by the end of the month, I think the last 2 or 3 weeks, it was like in the top 5 like most requested song like on the station, like up there with like legitimate like like the
It's
one
always Lost by Linkin Park was always the number
Yeah.
one, but we
Yeah.
were up there in the top
But it
5.
was like to
Yeah.
see us like next to like Linkin Park or
Yeah.
Jimmy Eat World or Blink-182's new stuff or like whatever it was, like it was just like holy, like that's like really surreal. Even it's even if it's just local or whatever, like that means just the world to us. It's like, yeah, it's just crazy. I don't know, it's super cool.
That's the only way to put it, really. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And Polarity especially was a very satisfying song, I think, to make. It is like my favorite song of ours, and the fact that it got the reception that it did, like, on the one hand was really shocking to me, but on the other hand I was like, damn straight you guys like that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it was just in general a very satisfying process. Like Mike said earlier, we do everything very DIY. Our very good friend of the band, Dom Frankeny, who is also the bassist, Moontown, which is another band that Mike is in, and also is in another band that Mike is in called Lysandra.
A lot of cross-pollinating.
Yeah.
He did all the recording and producing for us, and it's
incestuous bands.
very special to have such a like a friendly relationship with the person that you're doing all that work with, because it makes it really easy to be like, I need to do that again. That sucks. That was dumb. And it
And
just
he's
makes it
like,
very
"No,
like,
it's chill,
calm.
bro. Like, it's
Yeah,
you're fine.
exactly.
Like no sweat." When then you're like with an actual producer, like the times I've had the chance to record with different people, it can be like this very high intensity, kind of situation. But then I think we get really quality product out of a really chill and friendly dude
Yeah.
who is also the man. And my
Shout
former
out
roommate.
Tom.
Yeah, shout out Dom. Shout out Dom. I love him. Yeah.
That's so awesome to hear too, because again, like I don't know if it was a reel or whatever it was, but it made me like go check it out. And I was like, I like this. And I think that that's what's so exciting, because I feel having those songs out, and then now who knows in a year from now where you guys are going to be. And I mean, I don't know if I saw in a story or something, you guys are in the process of working on stuff. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm like, oh, we're going to get some stuff eventually. So I can't wait to hear what comes of it. And again, like anyone listening, just go check them out. I'll have the links. Like, go check this out. It's so good.
Tools do you use to cope in your own mental health journey?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Listen, I'm very transparent about this, particularly at shows. We have one song called Two Steps Away that is all about me sort of like learning to not be sad all the time, but then discovering that not being sad is really hard too, when that's the only thing that you've known for like so much of your life. So I'm very transparent about, I've been, diagnosed mentally ill for quite some time, but even before that, just I think that everyone has their moments, and when that moment is lasting for a really long time, it's very like suffocating kind of. And for me, singing is definitely thing that is like very useful to me. Just being able to like hear my own voice and sort of like know that I'm a person, that I can change something around me, even if it's just that there's reverberation in my room. Another like really big coping mechanism for me is drawing. I do all of our like band art and stuff, but I like to do low intensity things. If there's anyone that is listening that wants low intensity art that is also very cathartic, collaging, number one go to. You can do it with literally anything, and being able to just make something and hold it in your hands is a very tangible reminder of like, I'm a person who is capable of stuff. Those are definitely two big ones for me. Taking a shower. Changes your whole day around, even though getting into the shower is the hardest thing in the world on most days. Those are my big three.
100%. Like I've talked about it too on the podcast, where some days and some people maybe that don't struggle will hear like, oh, how's it bad? Like, how is it hard to take a shower? Like, again, I'm happy for you. Maybe you haven't experienced that, but so many of us, I mean, there's so many days. I know, Justine, you're so similar to where we'll be like, oh, it's 4 o'clock and like, I got to try and, but you're right. It turns my day around when I get in there and I'm out and I'm like, oh, I have to take up that collaging because I'm always looking for something else to do. And I've never done that or thought, I mean, maybe when I was younger, but I never thought of doing that. So maybe that's something I need to take up, but
you should. I love that you mentioned that because I've been into collaging since I was really small, but I also sing for coping. So like, I feel that on a personal level. Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah. It'd be like, Mike, what about you? What are those tools for you?
Yeah, I guess to give my own top three or big three, whatever Asha said, I would say, similarly to, singing, like drumming for me, it's since, when I started back in middle school has always been like a super cathartic release for me. I've always, I don't know, been in the hard hitting drummers, and I think for me, just I guess that gave me permission to just whack the crap out of them and get all my frustrations and anxieties and just those, whatever it may be, that just those negative emotions, those negative inner feelings, just getting those out, and trying to make something that at least sounds decent, even if it's really loud. And yeah, I don't know, music. And I just as well, like in the band, Asha mentioned Moontown, I play guitar, and that has also been massively cathartic, and just that kind of type of musical expression, kind of maybe like on a more creative, I don't know, like just in terms of the soundscaping, I love like guitar effects and stuff like that. And playing with like a delay pedal for hours can be like a really like stimulating and just like comforting thing for me. As silly as that may sound, making funny noises that sound like, I don't know, planes and like underwater explosions and stuff like that. Just really like good when you're feeling down. Yeah, also I'd say eating food. Yeah, I sometimes struggle with that. I've like in the past like dealt with eating disorders and stuff like that, but for me, just like really just struggling, and focusing on just getting that food, it always hits. It always makes me feel better. So, yeah.
No, oh, those are such great things. I think there's really relatable and like obviously I know we were emailing back and forth, Mike, a little bit, and our podcast is about music and mental health and that wanting to end the stigma of mental health by having conversations like this and sharing what you guys are sharing. And I know it's something that's mental health awareness is really important to both of you. So what do you think we need to do to end the stigma of mental health and how important is that to you guys?
Personally find it incredibly important. As Asha, kind of alluded to, I can say, and not to speak for anyone else, but I know, all five of members of Heading North deal with our own, mental health struggles and have had our own journeys with mental health, various things we've all dealt with. But I can just say for myself, I went to school and studied psychology and sociology, and chose those majors after having a really like tough kind of, honestly, like, mental breakdown or kind of, major depressive episode, during my freshman year of college, where my life essentially like kind of fell apart. And the band I was in at the time, like I ended up getting kicked out of and ended up losing a bunch of friends as a result of really, unfortunate decisions I'd made like during a really bad time in my mental health. And I think that just really inspired me to not only, in at the aftermath of that, like just inspired me to just like put all of my effort into helping others because I think so many people, especially guys, just aren't even aware of the things that like we're dealing with until our lives are falling apart or we're going crazy and we're like, I don't know what to do. And then, like in a lot of cases, like it leads like down really bad paths for people. And like and I feel very fortunate to have kind of been like helped by really important people around me to kind of reset myself on a better path. And I'm currently working as a social worker, and really am like passionate about just helping others in any way I can. But I think with music, kind of with that, I think music in the sense helped me through all of that and through everything, you know, past, present, and future. I think in being able to create music that expresses these real feelings and expresses and is a catharsis of these, really deep and like I don't know, just struggling, like deep things we all struggle with. I think it's just really like we found like I think connects with people in a really cool way. And yeah.
Yeah, I love that you shared that too about men's mental health because that's something we've talked a lot about too, that it's overlooked. It's always like, oh, whether it's as simple as, oh, don't show your emotions or just, suck it up. And I think it's so great when people like yourself share that and what you've struggled with, that maybe someone else out there is going to hear that and say, oh, like maybe it's okay. And um, a couple of years ago, my fiance went through a really bad work-related accident, completely changed his life. I mean, he lost burns on one hand, multiple burns. He was a electric lineman. So going through that and where he didn't have any mental health struggles, I suffer from anxiety and depression. But it was all new to him. And so many people we learned around us don't understand men's mental health. So it's that's a stigma in itself, like mental health already. But we both appreciate you for sharing that and I love that you want to help people because that's why we do this too. And we hope that someone listening just feels less alone. And so appreciate you sharing that and feeling comfortable with sharing that with us and everybody listening. I hope it changes in the future and we have more progress made in those terms. But I know, what about you, Asha?
Yeah. Very similarly in terms of like I also had a sort of breakdown my freshman year of college. Mine was the opposite direction. I have like bipolar runs in my family, and I had my first hypomanic break my freshman year of college. And I had wanted to pursue like medical psychology, like psychiatry and stuff. But after that, I sort of just landed on straight up psychology because I was like, I don't really want to have to wait that long to have to help people and
Yeah.
get into it. To talk about stigma, like you had mentioned, I've always been, I guess, to a fault, very open about my mental health issues. Definitely to an extent that was probably a little bit uncomfortable for people at times. But I'm someone who has grown up around and personally experienced very stigmatized mental health disorders. I have obsessive compulsive disorder, which is like so unbelievably stigmatized and
Yes.
misunderstood. I have bipolar. My brother is autistic, and like I grew up in a family that was a lot more aware of autism than a lot of people were. And so I think that I've been very particularly keenly aware of mental health stigma and very blessed to just enough lack of social awareness for me to talk way too much about my mental health struggles. And I remember specifically one time in high school, one of my friends messaged me on Instagram because I was sharing about a suicide attempt of mine. And she messaged me, and we didn't even really talk that much in real life, but she said, like, I really appreciate how open you are about your mental health struggles. And it was such a small thing, but it made me like break down crying because it just really solidified to me that like almost everybody that I know has had at least one horrible day. That's like everyone has hit their lowest at some point.
Yeah.
And I think that when we don't talk about mental health, it's so extremely isolating. And it's also very isolating to only hear about the worst case scenarios, to only hear, people that have been in therapy since they were a kid and stuff. I think that every single person on the planet could use mental health support and understanding and being secure in the fact that like it's okay for your worst day to not seem as bad as someone else's worst day because it's still your worst. You've still never seen a day worse than that. And I think that a lot of the stigma for mental illness comes one from just not understanding it, but also from comparisons between yourself and another person. When all of our brains, the structure's the same, but like the way that they work is so different. Everyone has their own, I mean, somewhat obvious to say that everyone has their own struggles, but I think that it can also escape us sometimes that every single person could use a consensual hug and like someone just telling them like, hey, it's okay for you to be feeling however type of way you're feeling. You don't have to be not to liken to my own lyrics, but I have one lyric in the song Two Steps Away that goes like, how does it go? I'm still missing pieces. No one's happy all the time. And that I think is something that like I try to sort of remind myself of a lot, and I try to remind my friends of a lot because one of the consequences of stigma is that people don't understand that like recovery is not linear, and it's okay to have those days that just feel like a crushing weight on your chest, because even once you stop drowning you still get hit with the waves sometimes, and they can feel a lot worse when you aren't used to drowning anymore. And I think that all of that is just, it's the best way to break mental health stigma is to just talk about it. It's uncomfortable and within people's limits and stuff, but just asking your friends, especially your male friends. Like
Mhm.
male mental health stigma is so intense and like breaks my heart to see. And just asking your friends like, hey, are you good? And if they're not, taking that, and like even if it means just, sitting with them about it.
Oh, you guys both have said so many, like, I can't wait to clip this and be like, listen to this episode because just this part, because it's so true. Like, especially, I have a friend who has obsessive compulsive disorder, and I always irks me because immediately some people, and it's a me thing that where people will be like, oh, I like my drawer a certain way. And I'm just like, if you only knew what people really deal with. And again, like it just told me we have a long way to go
Yeah.
because, and again, it just is whether it's in a TV show or it's in an article, people think it's that. And I think it's like you said, like asking people, how are you? Are you good? Like that's one of the things with my fiance and his struggles with his and his mental health diagnosis that he was with anxiety, depression, and all of that and learning these things. It was a people around him weren't asking those things. And he just felt like he had to do it all on his own. And I just hope, again, anyone listening, like check on your friends. Like if you take anything from this, just check on people. Because I think oh, I can't wait to clip. I know people are like, "Oh, you say that all the time," but so many people say amazing things, and you guys have just painted this so perfect. I know, Justine, I can see you. You're like, "Yes, yes." So we're on the same page here.
Yeah, no, 100%. You guys are saying such great things, very relatable, and it's going to be really helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, for
Thank you.
sure. And I mean, I know, Justine, I know I'm going to jump around, but it kind of just goes into what we're talking about. So I guess we're in the year 2024, which is crazy to believe we're in this new year. What would you like to see happen? I mean, I know accessibility is like number one, right? But what would you like to see happen in the terms of mental health? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit with men's mental health, but is there anything else you hope to see to help end the stigma a little bit in mental health conversations?
It's so hard because you've said the number one thing for me, which is
Right.
accessibility. It's like
Yeah.
it hurts me so much that so many people I know don't have access to
Yeah.
therapy, and that once you get a therapist, it can be really hard to if you like don't like them because
Yes.
not everyone meshes together. I think one of the biggest things that I would like to see is just more openness about mental health. I think that it's really difficult, especially for people like friends of mine who have like psychosis and things like that, like really highly stigmatized mental illnesses that are so much more common than people think they are. It's extremely isolating. And I think that especially, over the past few years with the pandemic, it's been even more isolating for a lot of people. And I hope to see a lot more compassion, which is, such a vague thing that I think
Mhm.
most people can agree with, but
Yeah.
it goes a really long way just to have someone to be able to explain the way that you're feeling to someone and to have them just be like, oh, I never knew about that, or to share about themselves. I think that that's a really small act, but it's also a very impactful one that can be really helpful, especially for people who don't have access to like formal therapy. I don't think everyone necessarily needs formal therapy, but I think that being able to just have pals to talk to openly and not fear retaliation is sort of therapeutic in and of itself.
It's like, oh, again, but like I just am loving this. But and for what about you, Mike? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say I totally agree with Asha. I think we definitely need more of that. But I would say for me personally, I would love to see a kind of shift in, I guess, the perception of mental health as far as that, like the explanation as to why we're feeling like I kind of feel like it can be so easy to almost over exaggerate or just like explain away why you're feeling some way. It's like, oh, it's anxiety, oh, it's ADHD, oh, it's this, that, or the other, right? But I think that can also, like, and it has for me at many times throughout my life, like led to a lot of confusion, like, oh, like, do I have this? Like almost like even wanting to self-diagnose, which I think, in at least in my opinion, is really like generally harmful for people, because there's such a spectrum of things with and symptoms with amongst different mental health conditions and stuff. But I just want I would love to see a shift away from like just explaining, but just having empathy for where people are at the given time, and to be able to whether it's talking them through it or just being there and being like a present caring force in someone's life through like whatever their mental health struggles may be. I think we need more of than rather than just trying to explain it away and almost like dumbing it down or minimizing the person at the center of it, and just like seeing the symptoms or and whatever like that. I just feel like that really just minimizes who people really are, and because people are more than what they're going through, or they're more than their mental health. So
sort of like demedicalizing to some extent, because I totally get that, where it's like if you just have like a laundry list of random acronyms, it's like there's a person underneath all of that, and there's like core aspects of like their lives that are beyond like the scope of just a list of symptoms and stuff.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think for me, like it can be so easy to feel almost like a guilt or a shame when I'm in those low places, and I think it can be so easy to just associate with like, oh, I hate that I'm depressed, or I hate that I'm anxious, or I hate this, and then like that turns into almost like a self-hatred, just furthering this like depression cycle, where I feel like rather than like hating the depression or the fact that I have depression, or the fact that I struggle with anxiety or whatever it may be, just like hating how I feel in the moment, but like allowing myself the room to like not hate myself and not get mad at myself for the way I'm feeling, because I can't really always control that.
That's so important. I think I don't know about you, Justine, but I need to hear that, because there's some days where having anxiety, and sometimes like little things will trigger it. Maybe the parking lot is a certain way, and it sounds so silly to someone else, but people will understand that. Where sometimes I'm just like, oh, I wish I was just normal. Why can't I just be normal? And this is not a big deal. I can drive to this place, or I can do this. I can approach certain things that maybe I wouldn't because of my anxiety, and without medication or this and that. Why can't I just do this? So I think it's so important to say that you know what, like you're more than those things, and just maybe hate that moment, but just say, I try to always say like, oh, it's my little superpower, where it's like in a weird way, and kind of be like, okay, it's a positive thing, but it's hard because I think other people need to hear that. And especially me, 100%. When you said that, I was like, yeah, that was me the other day saying like, why can't I just be normal? And that I shouldn't be saying that about myself, or no one should. We're all who we are in some weird way. Those things make us who we are, and trying to find the positive in there.
No, for sure. And again, I just really quickly like clarify. I don't want to say, like in terms of like the demedicalization of the terms or whatever. That's not to say that, seeking medical treatment is like a please, like, if that's something you feel like you need for yourself, like, I encourage anyone to take those necessary steps, and because I know like for me personally, like medication has been a major beneficial factor in my journey with mental health, and so like, I don't want to dissuade people or feel like make it seem like I'm discouraging that in any way, but just not to internalize those names or those like characteristics that you might feel.
Yeah.
What is something you guys want to see for heading north this year? Anything that you're looking to accomplish this year or anything like that?
Big things. Nothing but big things on the way. Yeah. No. In all seriousness, we have an EP that we're currently in the process of recording. We're working again with our friend Dom, who worked on Toss, Turn, and Polarity, and Currently, we have 4 more songs, along with remastered and remixed versions of Toster and Polarity that will be coming out on that EP, hopefully before summer. Don't want to say a release date quite yet, but yeah, definitely soon, as soon as we can. But yeah, other than that, we're just playing as often and as much as we can. We're currently planning 2 weekenders out of Pittsburgh. The first at the end of February and early March. We're hitting Buffalo and Cleveland, and then in April we're hitting DC and Philly, and so we just couldn't be more excited to just get out, just spread our music with more people, spread Shark Facts with more people, and just the good vibes I think that we like to bring. But yeah, I don't know about Asha, but
I know about Asha. I mean, aside from the things that we have like actually planned, shows, EP being awesome, I just want to spend time with my friends and have like a really good time. And I want to write more music because I have never been able to do more than just sit in my room with my own little words. And it's so wonderful having so many people that know so much more than I do about music to do the rest of it. Yeah, big things coming.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. And I guess if anyone's listening to this, we'll have obviously the links, but if they want to listen, where can they find you guys, whether it's on Instagram, find your music? If you just want to give a place where everyone can find you, if they're more of like a listener instead of like a reader of the link.
yeah, sure. We're on all socials at Heading North PGH. That's just all one word. And you can find us on all streaming services: Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora,
Amazon Music,
Amazon. Yeah,
SoundCloud.
we got older family who
Yeah.
they made sure we put it on Pandora and Amazon Music. So we
There
got
From
we go.
Bandcamp, if you want to give us
we're on
like a
yeah, we're
dollar
on
and 29
Bandcamp if you're
Oh,
cents.
young and cool. We're
perfect.
on SoundCloud if you want to listen to us for free. We're on YouTube. I don't know. All this stuff.
Perfect. So everybody is going to head, after listening to this, you're going to head to these links. I know you are, but
Head north to the links.
yes.
I
Oh
was
my
waiting
God.
for you to say it.
Yes. Oh my God. I have to, maybe I'll put that, I'll somehow mix that in. But thank you guys so much for taking the time with us today. I'm like, I always try to say, like, I want to keep it like an hour. I want to value everyone's time. And I think we did it. So we will take that. But thank you so much for taking time for us. And I can't wait for this to come out and check you guys out more. And you guys said, again, so many amazing things. And I know it's going to help someone feel less alone. And we appreciate. And all right, guys, that was our conversation with Mike and Asha from Heading North. Again, we truly love this conversation. It was such a great conversation. So much to tap into mental health, in men's mental health, and just how we can cope as people and what we can do with those around us. And just music wise, just everything. It was such a great conversation. And we can't thank Mike and Asha enough. And I'm really glad I reached out to them to come on our show. As always, guys, please support these bands if you would like to. Give them a like, follow, check out their links, because that's what it's also kind of about too. Anytime I see something that I want to push people's way, and they're just great people. So give them a like, follow, all that good stuff. Check out those links. As for Justine and I, we will see you next week, and we're going to have a special cool episode to kind of break up some of these interviews. Although we are so excited to have so many people interested in this podcast, we have some episodes coming up to celebrate 20-year records turning 20 years. And I'm so excited to share some of those. So we will see that next week. But the conversations are not stopping. We're having so much. And it's just as wild. But anyways, we will see you guys bright and early next Tuesday. All right. Bye, guys.